Hey, everybody, this is the Ads with the Twain podcast. I'm your host, Ben Blackman. And on this episode, we're going to talk about why most marketing rules are complete garbage. Here comes episode 133. All right, let's get right into it. This is episode 133, and I do have a quick public service announcement. And that is if you're on 23 marketing email list, you're confused. Okay, pick two uh, pick the two where you connect with people and unsubscribe from the rest, because most of what you're hearing out there is just a bunch of best practices, not a repeatable strategy. And so get off those lists. Don't put your time into it. Pick two and follow them. All right. One other thing, please subscribe. Okay, if you like this kind of stuff, let me know. I would love to hear about it, and I would love it if you subscribed. All right, let's go ahead and get started with this. It's hard to believe in this day and age that Me Too marketing still exists, right? I mean, if we haven't learned anything else, have we not learned that going, me too is, I do that too. I do this, that is not a good strategy. Now, you might get clients from it. In other words, you might get some people that that you otherwise wouldn't have gotten because you did it. But that's not a viable long-term strategy, and it's not a good one for growth. It just doesn't work anymore, and I see it every day. I see it in my own market. I see it with coaches all the time, just about every day. In my news feed, I bet you if I opened up Facebook right now and showed you my news feed, you would see, I would say out of the first 10 ads that we saw, I'd say 7 of them were people promoting their Facebook ad services. And they all look exactly the same. I mean, they do, and I'm sorry to say that. The thing about it is what I do, because I'm crazy like this, is I will look, I'll like bookmark it, or I'll look at their Facebook ad library, and I'll check and see if they're running them next week. And I'm going to tell you 90% are not running them a week from the first day I see them. And that's because they're not working. And, it's shocking that Facebook ad people, and I'm not trying to bash the industry at all. I mean, there's some really, really good people out there, and they're really good at helping other people. They're just not good at helping themselves. But it's really shocking that how difficult it is to get clients for your agency by running a Facebook ad, because most Facebook ad people do not have a strategy behind their own marketing. It's crazy. Anyway, I really didn't come here to bash them. It's not that. I mean, it's just, my point is that people just spin in the whole, hey, I do this too, me too. And I wanted to just kind of tell you a quick story, and actually that's what this video is about, and I'm going to tell you about what you should do instead. But back in the day, I was in a lot of different Facebook groups, and people would tag me. Somebody would say, "Hey, do you know a Facebook ad expert?" Blah blah blah, and people would tag me all the time, and so I would go in and look and see, and inevitably it was the same things happen. So this is what it would look like. Somebody would say, "Hey, I'm looking for a Facebook person. Do you know somebody?" And the actual Facebook people would reply back and say, "Oh yes, I'm doing this, and I've done billions here and billions there, and I've done all this and this and this and this and this and this." And that's what, and every one of them was like that, and it was just me too, I've done that too, I've made billions and blah 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 blah, and that's all it was. And I would look at it, and I'm thinking, yeah, in my head, I'm thinking, why would that work? In other words, if you're just in a list of people that you just said, yeah, I've done this too, I mean, if you can't make yourself stand out, how are you going to make your clients stand out? And again, I'm not trying to bash them, but I can tell you the vast majority of them are no longer in business. I keep up with that kind of stuff. Probably shouldn't, but I do, and they're just not around anymore. And that's part of it. I mean, I guess it's good for me. But here's what I would do. This is what I would do, and it worked every single time. So I would go in and say something like, whoever, I wouldn't respond to one unless somebody tagged me. First of all, I just didn't do that. But if somebody tagged me, then I would say, hey, such and such, thank you for tagging me. That's really nice of you. I really appreciate you doing that, because I want to thank them first, and I want the people who are reading this. And by the way, that was the other fatal mistake that many people would make, is they were responding to the initial person. Well, it's not the initial person who did the post about looking for an ad person that I wanted to respond to. I wanted to respond to the other people reading it who are looking for ad people too. I want them to see it. That's really where it works. That's where the rubber meets the road, not the initial person. Okay, so that's how I design my strategy. So anyway, I would say, hey, thank you. I really appreciate this. Your faith in me, and I'm so grateful we've been able to work together, and blah, 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 that kind of stuff. And then I would reply to the person who was initial post, and I'd say, hey, such and such, it looks like you've got some great responses here. A lot of, people who are saying they're doing great. I have a little bit different take on it, and I just hope you'll hear me out. The first thing is I'm happy to tell you about all the successes. Obviously, if I hadn't had successes, I wouldn't be here talking to you to begin with. But I really think what defines the character of an agency and the person running the agency has to do with their failures. And so my thought would be, hey, let's talk about the campaigns that didn't work first, and what I did to fix those, or how, because that's going to happen. Whether you like it or not, you're going to have campaigns that don't work. Everybody does. And, if somebody tells you they haven't had any campaigns that don't work, then either they're lying or they haven't been doing it very long. It's one or the other. So take your pick. And that I would come at it from that angle, right? And by the way, I forgot a crucial thing. First of all, I would wait a day. Like if somebody tagged me, I wouldn't respond the same day. I would always wait one day to do it. So that's the approach that I would come from, and I would close 90%. The people that got on a call with me, as long as they could afford it, I would close 90%, and everybody could. I mean, it's taking that kind of call is not like taking a call, say if you're a health coach, where your closing rate may be a lot different, or you may be running into a lot of people who can't afford it. This is a completely different thing, because people were already posting so they already had some budget in mind. So that usually wasn't ever the issue. But I had at least 90%. There was no price resistance. Once I got through the spiel, there was zero price resistance. And frankly, what would happen is we'd rarely talk about those failing campaigns anyway, but I was prepared to, right? They just didn't want to get into it too far. Their eyes would start glazing over when I would talk about it, and we'd just finish talking about their stuff. My point is being contrarian is really a much better approach. And you always want to pay attention to what other people in your niche are doing, and frankly, do the opposite. Now, I think it was Earl Nightingale, and if you're not familiar with Earl Nightingale, he's one of the people who really led, the self-help stuff way back in the 50s. Anyway, he has some really good audios and stuff, but Earl Nightingale was like, if you wanted to create a successful business or a successful marketing campaign or whatever, and you didn't know where to start, the simplest thing to do was look at what everybody else is doing and do the complete opposite. Because that's what works. Because the sheep, unfortunately, are doing what everybody else is doing. The 80%, the 90%, they're doing the same things. But the people who are actually making the real cabbage, do people still say that, real cabbage? I'm going to say that. People making the real cabbage, they do the opposite of that. Okay, they go against the grain. It doesn't mean they have to be mean about it, but that's just what happens. So don't be afraid to ruffle any feathers, as they say. And just watch how your responses change, and the quality of the people that you're talking to change. I was just giving that long story because that's what I would do in Facebook groups. But I would do the same thing in email and ads, everything else. Whatever most people were saying, I would just craft it completely differently, so that it would work better. And frankly, if I was trying to start ads today, and which I do have some actually. When we run ads today, we approach it differently, because a lot of people now are saying lead magnets don't work, right? They haven't been working for 100 years or more. They have worked. They do work. They still work. When people say stuff like that, they're just saying it. They don't mean it. Lead magnets absolutely work. And so that's what we do. We get people in, and then we nurture them, and we build up trust with them, and then they want to do business with us. All right. I hope all that was helpful and everything, and I really appreciate you taking the time to listen to me. And if you want to really know, what works and kind of keep it simple, and when I was talking about in the beginning of not subscribing to 23 different things, then you might want to check out my Brutal Truth Marketing Digest. It's free. The link will be down below, and it's a weekly email that I send out that's to the point. There is no fluff to it, and we're talking about real stuff that actually works. Now, I will tell you, the first thing I tell you to do is unsubscribe from everything else. Like, just keep two, mine and somebody else's. And that's it, and just follow that and see how that works for the next month or 2 months or 6 months or so. I also send out what we call a gut punch reminder email. So on Mondays, I send this thing out that just kind of goes over. It's just like one sentence to just kind of keep you on track, right? Like I sent one the other day that said, hey, that new course you were thinking about buying? Don't. And that's it. That's all I said, right? Because we don't need another course. We don't need another strategy. We know what to do. We just need to do the work of getting the clients, right? And that's what I talk about in the newsletter. All right, that's it. And I'll catch you guys on episode 134.